Shut up, Greg. Hey there, beer tubers. Welcome back to Maxwell Star and Beer Analysis 101 with
Yeah, I
me.
can't hear Nick. Bye.
Bye, Greg. Nice having you. Anyway, tonight on BA 101, we're going to do the classic, the original Pilsner, and one of the most historic beers of all time, Pilsner Urquell from the Czech Republic. Oh, damn it, Greg's back.
I'm back. Hi,
Anyway,
Nick.
without further ado, let's get down to the panel tonight, and we're going to start with Mr. Chris of Off
Hi.
the Tenth. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. Thanks, Maxwell, for having me on. Greg, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Perfect. Then that's a fail on my end.
It's
Can't wait to
pronounced
try this.
Maxwell.
Can't wait to try this. I've never had this, so this is going to be interesting, and we'll see what happens tonight.
By the way, that's pronounced Maxwell Star tonight.
Maxwell?
Just
Maxwell
Just wondering
Star.
for episode. Maxwell? Like Pilsner Urquell? Anyway.
Okay, Maxwell.
All right. Ashley, I have Sexton Brewing Co. How are you doing tonight? And how you doing?
I'm doing great. I think we're on week 7?
Yeah.
Quarantine, whatever.
Quarantine.
Yeah, I'm probably about 10 pounds heavier, but doing great. Thank you for asking.
Well, at least everybody's healthy.
Yes.
Yes.
No one's dead yet.
Nope. Haven't made any shoe sales in a while. Anyway. All right, let's move over to Greg. At least he's healthy too. At least we all care about Greg. Carrie.
Hey, after that touching tribute you gave me last week, now this week you're going to tribute my anniversary. I mean, you guys are just giving me all sorts of weird tributes. Fantastic. No, I'm doing well, continuing to, just basically live my life as normal. Nothing's changed. I've gotten a little fat too, but that's okay. I'm going on weight loss, and I like Fat Ashley. He makes me happy. He's very jolly. Yeah. Otherwise, are we doing history now? I forget how this works, or we're just doing intros.
Right now we're just doing intros. Then we'll come back and do history.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot how this works.
So,
how are you, Nick?
Greg, you've been on this show the most of everybody here.
I know, but I've never been sober.
You know the fucking rules. All right, never been sober. My God, this is the most sober I've ever been on this show. All right, so let's go back to me before we get the history and any of the comments there. We actually have a couple. So, Pilsner Urquell. History of Pilsner Urquell can be traced as far back as 1295 with the founding of the Bohemian city of Pilsen, today in the Czech Republic. The art of brewing had long been a part of Pilsen, with the first recorded mention of a brewery within the city in 1307. In 1839, burghers in Pilsen, so like middle class kind of people, in Pilsen decided to open the Burgess Brewery. And the brewery was built beginning in fall of 1839. At this time, most beer in the Bavarian region was dark and brewed with top fermenting ale yeasts. However, improvements to malt preparation methods and the rising popularity in the neighboring Germany of cellared or lagered beers, beers brewed using bottom fermenting yeasts that ferment at colder temperatures, gave Burgess Brewery a window to create a new style of beer. So in October 1842, the first beer at the brewery was brewed by brewer Joseph Grahl, and was a lagered beer brewed with malts paler than the public was accustomed to. The end result was a game changer, and this is seen today as the first pale lager. This new brew became popular enough that the brand name Pilsner beer was registered at the Pilsen Chamber of Commerce and 1859. I didn't write the year down. With the advent of refrigeration, the beer was able to be shipped further away, with expansion to Europe and even the first exports to the Americas in the late 19th century. By the end of the 19th century, beers imitating the Pilsner style had become the most popular in the world, and the trademark of Urquell, or German for from the original source, similar to saying export, was adopted in 1898. In 1939, Pilsner Urquell was available in 34 countries around the world. And you know what happened in 1914. So, throughout the 20th century, after a series of mergers during the Great Depression, only 2 breweries in Pilsen remained by 1933. Following the Second World War, the remaining breweries were merged and nationalized by the Czechoslovakian communist government into one company, Pilsenský Pivovar. No idea how to pronounce that right.
Like Pivo.
Pivovari? All right. The communist government fell in 1989. The brewery was privatized and renamed Pilsenský Prazdrov. Oh. In 1994, in 1999, Pilsenský Prazdrov was acquired by South African Breweries, or later known as Sab Miller. As part of the AB InBev buyout of Sab Miller in October of 2016, Pilsenský Prazdrov was sold to Asahi in Japan. Everybody knows who Asahi is. Anyway, so Pilsner Urquell is 4.4% ABV, 40 IBU Pilsner brewed with sweet Moravian barley malt, the characteristic Bohemian Saz hops from the fields of nearby Zatek, and the soft water from Pilsen. It is brewed with the same recipe claimed to be in use for over 175 years and using their traditional methods such as triple decoction and lagering in the beer in wooden barrels in the caves below the brewery. There's actually, if anybody's ever watched the series, The Beer Hunter by Michael Jackson, not the singer, the classic, the original beer writer.
Michael Jackson.
Anyway, everybody's favorites, Michael Jackson around here. He actually did a tour of the Pilsen Brewery and Pilsner Urquell Brewery back in like the early 90s or something. And it's just a sight to behold. And I guess brewing methods, I thought I heard something about they don't use the wooden tons as much anymore, but still very, very cool. They use these massive wooden tons for lagering the beer in the cellar, but it's really neat. Anyway, so without further ado, let's get over to I'm gonna actually go over to Ash because we have so many comments right now. It's kind of weird to see around here.
Wow.
Yeah, let's get into the comments. We got Craig from Kent Beer Reviews is piping in saying cheers. And Rainy on Your Parade is in the chat. He says that he's sitting here with a 16-ounce can of what we are drinking.
Nice.
Urquell. I got one of the new design cans. They look real cool. My can expires July 22nd, 2020. And oddly enough, mine expires July 12th, 2020. So I got 12 days of freshness on Rainy on Your Parade.
Mine as well, Ash.
Oh, really?
As well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Makes sense. And then I just mentioned I don't think I've seen the new design cans unless that's exactly what I'm drinking out of. I don't know. Is this the new design cans?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's the old can.
Well, let me see the new can.
Here. This is my can right here. Mine. What date did you say yours was?
Mine says 7/12/20.
Yeah, mine's 10/29/20. So I think I got maybe the freshest one here.
Yep.
Right.
Hi.
That's everything? Okay. Let's.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm on top chat. Let me get the top chat. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
all right.
it.
Fine.
That's
Such a
all
professional organization. Anyway, let's get down to beer history. And we kind of already know Chris's, but we're going to let him talk about it again anyway. I'm surprised you've never had this.
No, I've never had this. And I'm actually quite surprised I haven't had this because I don't know 100% if I've never had this because there was a time back in the days when I was married where my father-in-law he liked to get a lot of different beers all the time and he would love getting a bunch of European beers. So I probably have had this, but never recently that during my illustrious beer tubing career have I had this one. And yeah, so that's my history. I may have had this, but I don't remember. That's it. Maxwell.
Nice. All right.
Urquell.
Urquell. Maxwell Star.
Merkville.
Urquell.
Merkel.
He's Merkville.
All right.
Merkville Steigenstein.
Dying.
So my history with this, I've had this a whole bunch. I've had this many times a year, many years. I got into it. I was introduced into it after I started homebrewing, and I was starting to familiarize myself with styles and stuff like that. And I don't even think at that time I knew what the difference was between an ale and a Pilsner and stuff like that. So I was just sort of dabbling in the LCBO and all the European stuff. But then, I think I was reading a book and I heard about this beer as being like the original Pilsner. I was like, well, I might as well drink it. And lo and behold, I was able to find it. And yeah, I've had this beer quite frequently. Well, not quite frequently, but quite often over the last few years. So I have a pretty good history with it.
Nice. All right. Move over to Greg. What's your history with this beer, dude? Have you ever had it? You must have had this.
Yeah, I've had this a few times. I untapped it in 2017, but I'm fairly certain I've had it before then. I think I tried it around the time when I first had Steam Whistle, which was around 2013, and I think I probably read one of Chad's reviews. I know nobody knows who that is, but he's an old beer tuber who now I think reviews igloos. And basically, he had said that, like, Pilsner Urquell. I think they like take the brewer from Pilsner Urquell or something, and then supposedly Steam Whistle's a ripoff of it or similar. So I want to try. I'm like, I want to try this, and I went to the store and tried it. So I probably had it for the first time in like 2013, 14 or something. I buy it every now and then. It's one of those things I see every once in a while. I'm like, I want to retry this because I always forget what it tastes like, and I remember it. And I'm like, I can't tell you what I think of it because that would be a spoiler.
I'm trying to remember the guy's name. It was like Merrick something. I have the review for Von Buren. Merrick Makunda. Yeah, he was a brewer at Pilsner Urquell that went over to Steam Whistle, and then right after he joined Steam Whistle, he really righted the ship, and that's when Steam Whistle became a big thing.
They're no longer three fired guys.
Yeah, right. Now there's one. Well, maybe the guy got fired from Pilsner Urquell because whatever. All right, so let's get over to me, and I'll talk about my history with this beer, which is actually somewhat extensive because this has been one of my favorite beers over the
great
the last few years. Nah, I won't bore everybody with the details.
Oh, he's gonna make us watch the review.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to make you watch the review. This is just how old it is. This is review number 51 on Maxwell Star's beer review. This review is just shy of 9 years old. So this is like, I'm not sure I can't remember if that was the first time I'd ever had Pilsner Urquell, sorry, but it was pretty close to. It was. This is one of the beers that I was drinking when I was experimenting with trying different beers at the liquor store, and this is like. For what it is, this has gone on to be one of my favorite import lagers. It's just, it's to me the archetype of the style. Obviously, it's the original, but it's just been one that I've loved over the course of 7 years, and I buy it every once in a while just to enjoy a can. If I feel like it. All right, so that's me. Let's go over to. We got more comments. Wow, thank you for talking. By the way.
Yeah, I'll get into the comments. So Rainy on your Parade confirms that no, we have the normal cans. I got the limited edition cans. They're real vintage. The 1842 design, which I think I looked up, and they look pretty cool.
I gotta find that now.
And then Craig from Kent Beer Review says, the last time I had this, I hated it. I preferred the Budweiser Budvar. Then we have a commenter, Lurk, saying, I would buy Steam Whistle if it was cheaper. Maybe if they did not buy an old railroad station, they could sell their beer for less than $27 for a 12-pack. And I commented on Rainy Your Parade. I just looked at the cans, pretty cool. And I agreed with Lurk. I enjoy Steam Whistle as well, but I feel they're a little overpriced for what they are. And then he says, you can get
premium Pilsner.
A premium Pilsner. And then Lurk says, you can get Czechvar or Pilsner Urquell or Holsten. All have no hop extract for less than Steam Whistles, which is probably a valid point. I've bought it before, and if I was in Toronto, I would buy it on top. I would buy it on tap in a flask. There we go. And yeah, I've never actually had Pilsner Urquell on tap. To be completely honest, I've always just had it from the cans from the LCBO, and that was about it. And I think that is it on the comments. But thank you those for commenting. Greatly appreciated.
Well, I did find this while you were talking. And
Oh, yeah, cool.
That's what the cans look like. That is really cool, actually. I'd love to see some of those.
Yeah,
I'd four-pack just to see them.
The one I was thinking of was that green one with
Mhm.
the P and the U.
What is it? You?
Yeah.
Pooh.
Of course, they didn't adopt the Urquell part until the late the late 19th century, so it was well after 1842. But whatever. It's probably the styling from the first batches. Wow, we got 10 viewers. Keep up the comments, folks. We'll read them. Now let's get over to. Actually, I think we've already given our personal histories on it. The next thing is to give our final thoughts, so we might as well just talk.
Well, I can go back to the chat for a quick second. Eric Gilbert's in the chat. Cheers, Eric. What are you drinking, sir? Have you made any beer orders lately? And Rating on Your Parade says, I got to say, I picked up a can of this 8 months ago, I believe, and I could not even remember what I thought, but I am really enjoying this right now, better than I remember. We'll pick up some more. And Eric Gilbert says, love this beer. And yeah, you know what? I've even found over the last few weeks, I've sort of, as I've been at home, I've been ordering beer online from different retailers and stuff like that. And everyone sort of has their own thing. And I'm bouncing around from like IPAs to lagers to IPAs to lagers. I'm bouncing back and forth. And, at the end of the day, you really can't beat a really good lager, especially after you've had palate fatigue from heavy hopped IPAs and whatnot. And, yeah, I mean, I think this is not to get too far into the thoughts, but this is sort of one of those beers that people can either look back on or revisit or discover for the first time and sort of appreciate it.
Mm. Yep, absolutely agree. But I don't want to give too much of my thoughts away just yet. But yeah, so. Is it too early to get into the final thoughts?
It's not. We can start doing it because, like, it's a Pilsner. I mean, it is what it is, right? And I'll start if you want.
Yeah, sure. Let's go over to Chris. He's going to give us.
Look at me! Look at me, everyone! I'm almost done my beer. It's pretty clear. It's nice. It's very, very refreshing, and I like. Let me rewind. I love European lagers. I really do. I'm not a big European, like, I don't know. How am I going to say this without sounding like a dick? Lagers and Pilsners are probably the best thing that come out of Europe. Sorry, did I say that out loud? I'm just kidding.
He doesn't like hairy armpits.
Oh.
I don't know what I wanted to say on that one, but my point is I like this one, and I'm going to steal what Ashley was saying. Palate fatigue for sure. I've been drowning myself in Pilsners all week. Not Pilsners, in IPAs all week and stouts and shit like that. So having this is actually quite refreshing. And it's obviously a huge difference between, like, I've been drinking MGD all day today as well as washing the car and stuff like that. So I've been drinking MGD Coors Light today all day, and drinking this it's giving me a nice bitterness on it, a nice little dry finish on it. And I really like that because it's something different, and it's not like different where it's like gross different, but actually more refreshing for my palate different. And I really enjoy this one. And I'm surprised I haven't had this, and I'm glad I have another can of this sitting right over here. And I'm gonna probably drink it right after this one because they're pretty damn tasty. And what else? I was gonna kind of go back on what Rainy on Your Parade was saying. Yeah, I thought I really enjoyed picking. Really enjoying it right now. Yeah, you know what, Rainy on Your Parade? I'm actually really enjoying this one too. So, for the style as a Pilsner, as an original Pilsner, it is what it is. It's a 10 out of 10. It is. It fits the style to the style, I guess. And in my personal enjoyment, I really like this one. I'm going to give this one, and I will buy this one again. So with that in mind, I'll give this one an 8 out of 10. I really like this. There's my thoughts. Urquell.
All right, let's go over to Ash.
Mookville. I love that. That's great. I don't know what to start with this one. I mean, it's it is pretty much the originator to the style. I think we've done a few reviews on this channel where we've reviewed like originators to the styles, and I've always appreciated it. What were some of the other ones? Like the London Porter from Fuller's. That was like one of the first porters, and I really enjoyed that one. I'm pretty sure there's a few others, but I've always just enjoyed this style, this beer specifically because of its simplicity, and it sort of delivers on sort of what you're expecting. Pilsner just to be clean, clear, bright, crisp, nice bitterness. You're not. It is a lager, but you are still getting a nice malt presence. You're getting a nice, maybe a little bit more robust to a cracker type of like malty flavor, but not so heavy. And I think a lot of that comes from, and you mentioned it, Nick, in your description, that they use a triple decoction, which basically all that is when they're mashing in the grains, they're drying off some of the liquid and they're boiling it to concentrate it, and then they pour it back in. So they do that 3 times. So so what you're getting, it's concentrating that like nice bready, biscuity, that nutty flavor from the malt, and it's intensifying it. But the thing with this beer, it's only 4.4%. Now, more often than not, if you're drinking a sub 5% light lager, you're getting something that's going to resemble corn or rice or very, very neutral malt, presence. Whereas with this one, you can actually taste it without being too high of an ABV. So I think the flavor on this is actually, very similar to what you get from Steam Whistle, but Steam Whistle's it's 5%, whereas this is 4.4, so it's a little bit lighter. Not to say that Steam Whistle is obviously sessionable, but this is even more sessionable. I think that the one thing on this one, I think over the last year and a half or so, there's been a really big focus in the craft beer market to produce these what they the crispy boys or whatever the fuck they're calling them, just like highly crushable but nicely crisp beers. So I think it's starting to push the style a little bit, and you're seeing like dry hop pilsners as well, which I'll be honest, I love a good dry hop pilsner. For this one, it is the originator of the style, supposedly, or I guess. If you're gonna give it a style, you have to give it a 10, right? I guess. Maybe if you're comparing it to comparable stuff that is, craft breweries have been able to produce over the last 5 years, it's probably not quite up there with some of the other ones that are, sort of pushing those boundaries a little bit. But it's the originator of the style. So 10 out of 10. Personal enjoyment, I'm going to give this a solid 8. I drink this, I could drink this all the time without complaint. It's reasonably priced, and it's always a good beer to have.
All right. Sweet. All right. Thank you, Ash. Let's go over to Grigori.
I copy and paste Ashley's response, therefore I win.
Yeah, okay.
Not even chuckle. Wow, okay.
I want Greg's beer.
You want my beer?
No, never mind. Forget it.
Or do you want my beard?
Yeah, that's
Either way, you're gonna be disappointed. So what's this beer? I've had it a bunch of times. I've usually been relatively unimpressed by it, simply because of this Steam Whistle. I've always, maybe it's because it was probably my first Pilsner I had, at least the first one I had, knowing it was a Pilsner, and it's always been my favorite. And I always felt it was better than Pilsner Urquell. However, since Steam Whistle has moved their operation to Etobicoke in the last few years, Steam Whistle is not as good as it used to be. It used to be a lot sweeter. It used to be a lot less sweet. Now it is a lot sweeter. That was always my issue with the old Steam Whistle, is it wasn't particularly sweet, and Pilsner Urquell is a little bit on the sweet side, but not as sweet as new Steam Whistle. So old Steam Whistle is still my favorite Pilsner. This is in the middle, but I like this more than what the current Steam Whistle tastes like, because apparently that Etobicoke water is just not done any favors for our friends at Steam Whistles. So I will also say that I feel this is better than it used to be, and I'm just wondering if maybe with the beer being a bigger thing nowadays than it was even 5 years ago, maybe like it's fresher. Like my can's actually from the future. My can is bottled in July 12th, 2020. So that's amazing. This shouldn't even exist yet.
This shouldn't exist yet.
That's the expiry date, Greg.
Yeah. Does anyone know what the expiry date is on this? Because that actually probably is not very fresh if it's a 6-month expiry date.
It's probably 6 months out.
Yeah, so that would mean January 12th. That's all right for a Pilsner. It's not.
But still, you could literally let this sit for a year and it wouldn't do anything to it.
Yeah.
Get a room?
Dog is humping my wife while I'm trying to be professional. It's disgusting. So what do I think of it for style? I'm not gonna you could give it a 10 and 10 for style because it's the originator, but that's also like saying the first person to ever hit a golf ball is the best golfer in the world. It's like not necessarily. Ew! I just had a wet dick touch me. That's disgusting.
How professional. Come on,
Just
Greg.
keep the professionalism going, Greg.
I can't. I was violated. Anyway, so it's a 9 out of 10 for style. 10 out of 10 would be old Steam Whistle. Current Steam Whistle is like a 7. And personal enjoyment, I'm going to go with an 8. Again, right in the middle of where I would compare those two other beers. And it's a little, I would prefer if it was a tad less sweet, but it's still very tasty, very sessionable. And I'll probably buy more of this in the summer, actually, instead of the other premium Pilsner that will remain nameless.
Yeah, and I agree with Greg on that one. I'll probably pick up more of these in the summertime for sure. This is totally crushable.
Yeah.
And get your pet spayed and neutered. Don't be like
Hey, Bob Barker.
It'll be like you and getting your dick stamped on your arm.
I gotta wash myself now.
While you're up.
Well, mute yourself and go to the bathroom then. All right. Yeah. So that all the flavors I got out of that were this nice like herbal, peppery hop note on it, known from the Pilsner. A bit of a grassy smell, a little hint of sulfur in the aroma. The flavor is kind of like this copper coiny, lightly sweet taste. It's a bit on the bready side. And no, I'm not just copying notes off of Ashley from earlier. And I also found that the body on this is nice and creamy. Like I kind of a medium body to it, smooth, creamy carbonation. It goes down extremely easy, but it's a little bit dirty in the finish. But it's also a very, very refreshing beer, and there's a reason why I keep going back to this specific beer. And you know what? I think the last time I had this was I went to like a beer tasting course back last summer that was taught by somebody. I forget what his name was, but he had like a not the Cicerone, but the other program under his belt, so he was kind of a professional beer judge,
like a sommelier.
Sommelier, Prud'homme. That's it, Prud'homme. Anyway, it was like hosted at this local hop farm here, which is actually no longer there. But so anyway, he was talking about how this is kind of the textbook case about how off beer flavors, like usually we associate like maybe like cream corn or sulfur or cardboard. I get a little bit of cardboard in the back too. It's kind of flavors that you get that are like off flavors, but it's actually stuff that they kind of impart in little minute amounts to actually like improve or make a beer of closer to the style. I mean, back during the times of Reinheitsgebot, it was some of those off flavors were the only way where they could differentiate their beers from other recipes, and this is one of the methods they used to do it. I could be talking out of my ass right now too. So, but anyway, yeah, I thought it was kind of fascinating when I heard that, because I mean, I am getting a little hint of sulfur and I'm getting a hint of cardboard out of this, but it's not off-putting, and it's just neat to you're like, yeah, sure, these are brewing faults. You recognize that,
Canadian Tire,
but yeah. Anyway, so finishing off what I'm trying to say here, when I think about a Czech Pilsner, This is what I'm thinking about, a Czech Pilsner. I find that the German Pilsner style is kind of the one that's more skewing towards what the Americans are familiar with. With a pale lager, they can tend to be like still hoppy, but not as strong in the hop note, and also have a much cleaner finish. Whereas this thing here, like this is the kind of thing I want when I want to drink a lager. This is really nice, and I will say that when it comes to the style, yeah, like I'm not going to go as far as Greg and say that at all. Like the first golfer was the best golfer that ever lived. And like, no, I mean, it's possible, I think, to make a better Pilsner. It's just that this is the one that they want to strive to be or beat. And that still makes me give this one a 9. Really like the style, like this one, and an 8 overall. Which actually, I think everybody's tied at 8.
Who's to say that the best golfer wasn't the best golfer? He could have made up his own rules as he was going.
Right?
Okay, it took me 7 shots to get it in the hole. Hole in one. I'm the best.
I'm the best.
Listen, do not feed into your
I'm
ego.
the
He's not
best.
the best golfer just because he's the oldest.
You know what, Nick? What I will say to piggyback off what you're saying, what makes this a different lager than most is, yeah, it does have that nice, dirty, bitter, earthy type of finish to it. Which it doesn't like fade into obscurity when you drink it. You know what I mean? Like you taste it, and it's there afterwards, and it lingers. So.
It's not just the dirt in the finish, but it also lingers with this nice little bit of sweetness as well, which is very palatable, I guess.
I'm really this is like my second can already. I'm almost done it already.
Yeah, wow.
It's crushable.
Definitely.
100%.
Well, I'm in charge of the comments, so let me.
All right, so I will let the comment master go right ahead.
Do it.
Where did I leave off? Eric Gilbert loves this beer. Rating on your parade says he's holding a real nice edge, which actually it does. Pilsner malt does. Craig from Kent Beer Reviews. I will revisit this when we get out of lockdown.
That sounds like quitter talk.
Quitter talk. Rating on your parade. I think it is $7.99 a 4-pack of 16-ounce cans. That's a steal. Well, it's $2 a can US, and I think I paid $3.10. So you know what? It's probably not that. It's about the same in the States as what it is here. Eric Gilbert says, I was working during most of this, so I always miss delivery time for local brewers. Dylan in the chat says, I also prefer Budvar to this.
Dylon.
Spitting hot fire. Dylon. Lurk. Okay, so here's a question from the panel. Do you guys think that we will ever have cheaper beer in Canada? Both New Brunswick and Ontario have similar monopolies. I have been to the LCBO and been to the ANBL. They are not much different.
As soon as they privatize it, we will have cheaper beers.
Yeah, talk to Dan in Alberta. The beer's not necessarily cheaper out there because they're still paying a certain amount of tax to the government.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the government involvement in the actual beer. There might be more competition without the monopoly, but it's more.
And don't forget,
there's still an amount of markup that they got to consider.
Even privatized, the government can still set a minimum price.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think the big difference though between us and the United States is that the lobbyist groups for the larger breweries are impacting the pricing a lot more than they are allowed to in Canada. So that is why, your Budweisers, Coors Lights, whatever, your macros are far more expensive here because they're not allowed to influence the price as much as they're allowed to in the United States. Whereas craft beer here,
protectionist, yeah.
Whereas, craft beer in Ontario, random generic, craft beer from Toronto compared to random craft beer price in, I don't know, anywhere in the US, it's always going to be cheaper in Canada. So,
well, another thing you got to consider is in the States is that huge corn subsidy they have, and that a lot of beers use corn as an adjunct.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of different factors there. At the end of the day, if you can find a great craft brewery in Canada that you like, you can rest assured that the price of that is far less than a comparable beer from a equally sized microbrewery would be in the United States.
Well, the other thing in the States that I can at least attest to Michigan, Chris would know New York State better than I would, but they're your beers that you can get in Canada and the States, for instance, European beers, stuff like Rochefort 10, and even stuff like Flying Monkeys that's made its way over to the States. It's way more expensive over there. Like Chocolate Manifesto is like $27 for a bottle. Granted, this may have been like the old 750s, but like still, it was really expensive. Like Rochefort 10, you're looking at $10 US a bottle.
Well, yeah,
So,
ask like Matt whenever he's on here about what he thinks about the prices of Rochefort 10 in the States. He's amazed that we get the prices that we get stuff for here, and they usually end up coming over and buying our
what was that large red bottle that I drank recently?
Character Rouge from Rodenbach.
Joe bought 4 of them here because they were $9 a bottle or $8.50 a bottle or something Canadian, and over there it's like fucking ridiculously like $20 for a bottle US. So it's
my general consensus is, from my experience going to the States, and again this is mostly Michigan centric, if you're a macro drinker, you save a ton of money by buying in the States. If you're a craft drinker, I actually think LCBO prices overall are actually cheaper when you actually take into the dollar into account, that their dollar is obviously worth more than ours.
LCBO prices are cheaper, but I mean, we're still getting screwed over here in New Brunswick.
Oh yeah, you guys are getting hosed.
Yeah,
craft
beer prices, even for local craft beer, they're talking about a can of Trailway, good stuff, and I do buy them a lot. But you're talking about like $4.50, $4.99 a can.
Yeah,
for beer that would probably be like $3.50 or $3.75 in Ontario.
Yep.
Yeah, you're definitely getting a little bit on the hosed on that. And just an aside as well, like hard liquor is also a whole other world in the States. Like you're paying 2-3 times as much in Canada, but that's just taxes. And even if we go privatized, that's going to stay the same. It's just going to be a minimum shelf price set, which actually they do in Michigan as well. There is a minimum shelf price. It's just a lot cheaper than what our price is.
Oh yeah, way more. All right, well, I just got a few more comments here. Eric Gilbert says wrong, and that was 100% in the response at something that Greg said.
Oh, was this the lager shed comment?
No. He said wrong when he was going on about steam whistle.
Oh,
yeah, he just said wrong.
Oh,
and that was when Greg was saying something about steam whistle. So, okay, Lurk says I find Pilsner Urquell to be a bit too strong. If you can find it, try Radeberger. I really enjoyed that when I found it at Sobeys, much later than Pilsner Urquell, but still tastes like a Euro lager. Yeah, and it sort of goes back to what Nick was saying earlier about the process for Pilsner Urquell, where it's triple decocted. So, you know, that malt, what's the word I'm looking for?
Triple decoction malt body.
The flavor from the malt is intensified because of the triple decoction. It's boiled down and then re-added into the mash. So yeah, I comparing to Pilsner Urquell to another Pilsner is, you know, thing. And the crazy thing to think of, Lurk, is that, you know, Pilsner Urquell's 4.4, and if I'm not mistaken, Radeberger's, it's got to be, I think, 5% or more. So you're getting more flavor out of a lighter beer in way of alcohol percentage. So, and then Eric Gilbert says Lagershed only beats Urquell, and he is wrong. Lagershed beats nothing. No, I'm not going to go there. I don't know.
You know what?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go right ahead, Chris.
What are you gonna say, Chris?
As for the flavor wise, for a Pilsner, this is pretty much what I want in flavor wise for a Pilsner. I don't find this too strong as a flavor. Like, there's not a lot of bittering in this one. There's not a lot of sulfur or cardboard or every other, you know, flavor you want. It's actually well balanced for what I would want in a Pilsner, especially a Euro Pilsner. And I'm gonna go out and find that Radeberger. I'm gonna try it, and I'll pick up both of them, and I want to see, you know, what he's talking about, because I don't think I don't find this one to be strong at all. Like strong, like tasting. I know what he's trying to say. Like, no, I'm not. He's not saying strong as high ABV. He's talking about strong.
No.
I think he's talking more about the bitterness, but
Yes. Yeah.
it's fine, in my opinion. Hashtag moo.
Moo.
Rating on Your Parade says warming up real nice. And man, real thirsty for another one. Should have bought a 4-pack. That was so good.
I agree. I would like another one too, actually, and I don't have.
I'm glad I drank both. Well, almost done.
Yep. Anyway, speaking of how good they are, we did approve of this beer, and we gave it a 9.5 overall.
That's beating
And
MGD.
we gave it. I think it did beat MGD.
Yep.
That's probably the highest rated lager of any kind we've done.
I hope
you know.
I hope it's the highest rated lager.
Yeah,
I'd
have to look it up.
He's like, why'd you throw it?
Hopefully, it's not the
So
one of the highest
professional,
rated
Greg.
ever.
What did
Yes.
you say something to me?
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the
Okay,
rating
fine.
for Pilsner Urquell. There's actually one thing I wanted to say about the history of this with Pilsner. With Steam Whistle, is that when Steam Whistle first came here, first time I ever tried it was Chad, the albino rhino, sent me a can and to do a review. Who's Chad? Back in like 2012 or something, and I remember thinking that was like Canadian spot on copy of Pilsner Urquell. And yeah, Steam Whistle's not as good as it used to be for sure. It's still decent, but
Maybe
when I
they should get away
remember
from
being
freshness.
wowed by Steam Whistle when I first had it because it was the closest thing we had to something Canadian craft that was like this. It was anyway.
Jamie in the comments. Who? That's too funny.
It's like who's Chad?
Maybe Steam Whistle needs to get away from that freshness seal because it might be tainting the beer.
Anyway,
It's the only thing protecting us from Corona.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Right. We have a new commenter, Base Ment, and he says, "Works, Nurks, works, burrs."
and also Raining on Your Parade says the exact same thing. So the magic question has been asked. What are we doing next week? And that is, drum roll, please.
Washing my hair.
Yeah, well, yeah, pretty much. We're going right back to European Lager Town and doing Dortmunder export. Dab. A little dab will do you. Can't wait to use that joke. Anyway, yeah, so Chris can't be here next week. Anyway, we won't get into that. But, yeah, he's washing his hair. He's making the hair gesture right now. Always dabbing. Yeah, that.
Dabbing on his haters.
Right. Okay. Yeah. We had a pretty good turnout tonight. We had 11 viewers right now. Thanks for watching. And 4 people on the panel. Of course, me, Maxwell Star, got Chris of Off the 10th. Yeah. Greg of the Beer Burglar channel. Oh, that's a secret identity. Sorry, I spoiled it. And
Well,
we
I'm
got
not
Ashley.
the beer burglar. I just host the channel, so we don't know
Actually,
who it is.
I'll
Sure.
before you sign off, though, I'll just say I'll do my part. Ready? Thank you, Craig, for commenting. Thank you, Raining on Your Parade. Thank you to Lurk. Thank you to Eric Gilbert, and thank you, Dylon. And, thank you, Base Ment. Yeah, and we're done.
One of the 5 greatest rappers in the world.
Dylon.
Dylon and Dylon and Dylon. All right.
Dylon.
Great. Dylon says, great job.
Totally
All right.
ripping a rhyme when I rip.
All right. So anyway, I want to say thank you for watching, everybody. And we're going to be online in a little bit with an after chat. So stay tuned.
Cheers. Peace out, homies. Penis.
Cheers.
All day.